Your narrator is testing something in this camera. We do like to be productive. Um, you, we made 3 videos about um uh there appears to be what persons like me would have. It's mean to say predicted, but that no, it's mean in this. But I mean, a lot of sympathy for the situation, but we've been worried about it over here long before we started that Facebook page, actually, which is right. There's one after another of these teenage suicides due to cyberbullying, and persons that are in your narrator's demographic when we discover social media, which let's see, you're sort of we're just trying something out that you seem to want us to do. You did. You did. Oh wait, that is. These are hard to tell. But it's a test. But when those when at the same time all those formats that launched, YouTube, Facebook, the social media, part of where we were operating from is this is all new, although it's it's just second nature and seems like just depending on the age seems like it's always been there. But no, I mean, and one of the main concerns was like, given the fact that, well, we know that like all forms of spirituality are like sort of banned at the schools. Certainly, prayer isn't in the schools anymore. Um, People with alternative spiritualities like Wiccans are like perceived to be Satanists. If someone's a Muslim, that causes someone an alarm. The people who run the problem with social media existing. I mean, there really have been one suicide after another, but folks like your narrator had been talking about this coming because American high schools are incredibly it's part of the spiritual bankruptcy of the country that American high schools are cruel places, and like you do get like you know young men like shoot up the school like to get back at the bullies, and I asked the psychologist who's in your thing what and she said, yeah, this is part of the bullying phenomenon, but now there's one after another suicides. What's When you have high schools that have that have this like kind of culture, this mean culture that American high schools have, and all forms of spirituality are banned, they are by people who run our like all the systems. Like, yeah, they also run our school systems. They're people who are not only like secular in orientation, but are like incredibly limited intelligence. Okay, they are. I mean, that's what's going on with all our systems people that run all these systems. They the what could possibly happen is now happening all the time, which is like all. I mean, the social media in high schools is so dangerous, like given how the culture is there. And what we have been saying here is they better put prayer back into schools. They better stop with this like war on Christmas crap, and like you can't sing Christmas carols, that alternative spiritualities are like demonized. If they can't have this kind of technology and the YouTube and the Facebook and a whole social media world if there's no spirituality in the schools, and it works on both ends. You're getting what you're getting now, the most incredibly hateful, like nonstop, psychological provocation of young people by like, bullies in the social media system. They're in the amount of things you could do with the kind of like hateful people in schools or think is funny to do. Remember, in my era, we did have things like that happen. Remember, one big one was at my high school. This guy called Robert Chambers, who, you know, ended up going to prison. But there were tapes of him and girls at the school laughing about how this girl had been killed. That here's the thing, like that it's part of the condition of the country. They've got to put prayer back in the schools. What we said in the other one is, though, that why is that a problem? And I'll tell you why. We'll tell you why, exactly why it's a problem. Because here's the thing, right? Well, so no, right? Is it optional? Well, here's the thing. Like I said, the people who run our systems, all of our systems, including our school systems, I mean, very seriously, they're completely secular people, hostile to spirituality, who are of incredibly limited intelligence. Okay, the thing is, what you do, just to say it, is like, look, if you had prayer before school, number one, let's say you've got students who are Wiccan, and you're going to have the Lord's Prayer before you begin class. Remembering that when I lived on Delachaise, in very poor neighborhoods with predominantly African American schools in those neighborhoods, a lot of the guys I talked to, like, were very angry that prayer was taken out of their schools. It was sort of binding. Those schools became a lot more violent and stuff. The neighborhoods are violent. Prayer in school was sort of important. But of course, if intelligent people dealt with it, they'd say, look, this is necessary because of this new culture and these technologies. But what you'd have, it'd be optional. If they're having the Lord's Prayer, remember, there's a big resurgence of interest. It's a book called The New Faithful about how many young people are taking on a much more serious approach to Catholicism than their parents did. Let's hypothetically, you had said the Lord's Prayer. Well, the students who are Wiccan, they're saying, well, you have permission to, during that time, go outside on the school grounds and do your spiritual prayers. But if you use it to cut school, you'll get detention. People can say, well, I don't want to, say a prayer. Sure, it's optional. You can, wait in the hallway, but if you, leave school grounds, you get detention. I mean, so there are really easy answers to people are objecting. No one's imposing religion on anyone, but spirituality has to come to schools, partly to stop the meanness and like the hate that they're causing people to bully people online, but also for the students themselves, who are victims of it. Right, to have them, they need to have the approach of like, whoever would do such a thing, they must be suffering. I mean, maybe they hate who they are, or they, their parents didn't raise them right, but they must be suffering if they're doing this kind of hateful bullying, and just drop it and say, it doesn't matter what anyone thinks of me, because it's not that important. I'm being sort of harassed a little. I mean, it would work both ways, but they have got to put spirituality back in the schools if this social media thing is existing, because you're going to get rashes of suicides and kids going psycho and ganging up on people and posting, private, videos taken of someone all over the internet. Spirituality, as it is, American high schools are nasty, mean, cruel, demented places. Not where I went, but I went to a very privileged school. They're going to have to get spirituality back in the schools fast, or this is going to keep happening. That's what our video is about, but we were encouraged to kind of redo it. But it's a problem as it is for the spiritual tradition of the country. The schools are these mean places because, this secular thing, they're also products of their parents, and there's like awful cultural crisis we're in. But I mean, this issue of, competitiveness is like a big thing. Meanness is a big thing. Cliques and bullying. With social media, it's a safety issue. Like, that prayer has to come back to the schools in many different ways.